Hello, 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 hello. This is Tales of the Unknown, and I'm here with some breaking news. Well, it's not necessarily breaking news because it happened hours and hours ago, but it's still considered one of the craziest and, if you're from a Cowboys perspective, probably the dumbest trade to ever happen. Considering not just the player, but the timing of it all. Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons has been traded to the Green Bay Packers of all teams. The same Green Bay Packers that got Jerry Jones crying so bad in that damn documentary that I watched and I loved, by the way, that he decided to go ahead and trade Micah Parsons for defensive tackle Kenny Clark and 2 first-round draft picks. It almost seems similar to the whole Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic situation, doesn't it? God, just think about it. In the span of less than a year, we lose Luka Doncic and Micah Parsons. Man, if you would have told me this in 2024, I would have said y'all full of shit. Y'all fucking crazy. There ain't no way. Ain't no damn way we doing this. 2025, here we are. You know, when this first happened, I was not, I was freaking out when this saga started really ramped up in August the 1st when Micah requested a trade. And that usually happens, because, some players request a trade to get, like, more money and shit like that. And it was part of the course, and I'm like, I freaked out for a minute, but I was thinking, you know what, yeah, it is kind of part of the course. Because I see this happen sometimes, and they get their deal. Like, Scary Terry got his damn deal after he requested a trade from the Commanders. So I'm thinking, okay, so Micah's gonna be next up, right? Micah's got to get paid, right? Micah's going to get paid. Oh, he got paid, but it ain't with the Dallas Cowboys. It's with the Green Bay Packers. This shook me to its core, not just because it was Micah Parsons, because this guy was a generational talent on defense. This was a guy that could make or break games, and you traded him away because what you may want to crunch numbers, and Jerry Jones gave out a press conference. We're talking about, well, we gave it up for what these draft picks could give us, either through the draft or we acquire them. Now, how about them Cowboys? We acquire them or we draft them. We could get maybe 3 to 5 players. What? Like, I get what he's saying, but like, it's mind-boggling. This was something he said in his press conference that he was thinking about since spring, and the reporters, they kept pressing him and asking him, why didn't you do this when we had the draft? It's kind of like the same thing where some Steeler fans were asking the Steelers, why the Steelers didn't do this for the draft. With Pickens, didn't trade him for the draft to get something out of it, something more out of it. It's the same thing now that Cowboy reporters were sports reporters were asking Jerry Jones this same question. He always danced around it. He that stupid laugh that he does, that makes it seem endearing. I don't want to say it's like the Saturday Night Massacre, but I would say this was almost like a Thursday Night Slaughter, almost, to the point where he just seemed like there was no real answer that he could give that would satiate the what is that word I'm looking for? I'm so rattled right now. Okay, let me reword. Something that put the Dallas Cowboys' minds at ease. It's not doing any of that. You could have done it before the draft because he just said he was thinking about this. He was thinking about doing this in spring. So when was the draft? In May. And they said they had a deal on the table, but then Michael wanted to bring the agent in, which you're supposed to do as a player, and they just were like, no, we're too far ahead of the proceedings. We don't want to do this. We don't want to bring another person into it, and that's what fucked it up the first time. Another thing, now this is reported. Now this is what happened. Apparently, Micah wanted to get 4 years. This wasn't necessarily about the money. The money was fine. It was the years. Does that sound familiar? It was the same thing with Dak. It was a question of 5 to 4 years. Jerry wanted 5. Dak wanted 4. Why do you think? Why was that? Because agents go against the fact that you can't have that. That you shouldn't go for 5 years. Tell their client they can't go for 5 years because it kind of hinders their next big contract. So that's why. What happened. Dak eventually got his way. He got his money. So did CD. But now it was Micah's turn, and they tried to give Micah 5 years for $205 million. Which sounds pretty good, but apparently the Packers' deal actually exceeded that. It was 4 years, $188 million. I think $136 million guaranteed. That's, by the way they say, it's about $6.6 million more with the Cowboy than the Cowboys deal. Jerry Jones tried dancing around it and talked about we have $42 million in cap space now because we didn't pay Micah. Now we can do something. You haven't done shit with the cap you had before. So for us Cowboy fans, it's kind of hard for us to believe that you have something in store for us that you can make up in that would make up for this. And not only to top it all off, you did it 1 week before we played the Philadelphia Eagles. Tell me does that make sense? Tell me that makes sense. Because it doesn't to me. Jerry Jones, what happened was this was not a big financial deal. This was not about bolstering the Cowboys offense, about the Cowboys team. This was plain and simply because Jerry got his feelings hurt. He got his feelings hurt because he couldn't run roughshod through Micah Parsons and get a deal done through the agent. Because the agent reportedly said he could stick it where the sun don't shine. Now, that's Jerry's word. The agent said that wasn't true, apparently. So it's a bunch of he said, she said thing. And I think the thing was, which is different between Dak and CD, is that Dak and CD kind of took their lumps and went with it. Micah Parsons went through social media and really gave Jerry Jones a taste of his own medicine, which is why Jerry was much more offended and his feelings got hurt. And we just watched the documentary of Jerry Jones getting his feelings hurt and really destroying the Dallas Cowboys franchise in the 90s. Because we saw this. We saw this happen. Jerry Jones fired, well, whatever you want to say. It got so bad that Jerry and Jimmy parted ways and the team of the 90s was done. Even Troy Aikman felt like you ruined the last part of my career, essentially, because there was no structure, there was no hope. Michael Irvin said that if they had Jimmy and Norv, he would have came back, even though his his spinal cord was thin. Like something, a real bad hit would break it. Emmitt Smith wanted his triplet brothers and anybody who was responsible for helping him get to that all-time leading rushing record. He wanted them there for that. He wanted to retire with all of them, but that didn't happen. Now, yes, the Michael Irvin situation happened mostly because, that's just what happens on the field. But there were so many other things that could have been different if Jerry had put aside his ego, his need for wanting credit, for wanting to be acknowledged as one of the guys. That's what that was. And this right here was Jerry getting punked out by Micah Parsons. And so now it's like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. That's what happened here. This was not a decision made to make the team better. Okay? This was plain and simply because Jerry couldn't handle the fact that Micah Parsons punked him out and was not going to yield from his position. Neither was his agent. So Jerry was like, fine. We're open to trade rumors. They already had this in the works. That's why it came about so quickly. They were already entertaining deals. This was in spring. They were talking about a trade pack. What could we do? What could we get for Micah? And it accelerated, which is why those early reports of them getting those numbers from the Packers, why everyone was like, how could they talk about it? Because they don't have they're not given the right to talk to Micah and stuff like that. Because this deal was already in the works. This was something in the shadows. And so now you're left with a big hole on your defense. Now, you did plug in, I will give this, people say Kenny Clark is really great. He's been there for 9 years, though, but he's really great in plugging up, the middle, which has been the interior line, which has been tough for Dallas because Dallas just gets ran through each and every time. It is ridiculous. But in doing so, you also took away your premier pass rusher, who you could have plugged in anywhere to get pressure on the quarterback. Now, he said that he's so confident in this Cowboys team, in their depth, that they can make up for what happened with Micah Parsons. I don't believe that to be the case. I don't think they have enough to make up for Micah being gone. He put more pressure on these guys than he really realized. He thinks that the players are going to bail him out, like the Cowboys did in the 90s. Some of the crazy things that he did, the Cowboys teams were good enough to bail him out until they weren't. Jerry is caught into thinking that the 90s is going to repeat itself, and it may not in the way he thinks. Well, it may in the way he thinks, because I remember for that documentary, Jerry Rice was talking about trading Charles Haley was the biggest mistake that they made. And it came back to bite them because the Cowboys beat them and went on to win the Super Bowl. Now, Micah Parsons got traded. And is now a Packer. Now, I'm not automatically saying that the Packers are already a shoo-in to win the Super Bowl. That's not it. The quarterback is all right. Jordan Love, I like him, but I think he's all right. I think Jordan Love really needs to step it up for them to actually be legit contenders. But they look pretty damn great right now. That defense was already pretty good, and now with Micah Parsons, they're great. Cowboys defense falling apart. I'm not even sure Trayvon Diggs is supposed to play. He's not going to play yet because he's still recuperating from his injury, and so now the more pressure is on Deron Bland and whoever else you got back there, playing cornerback, playing defense. And you're going up against the Eagles, the defending champs, with no Micah Parsons, with a rotation of pass rushers that some have been alright, but it's mostly because they had Micah Parsons on one side. Now you don't have that legit pass rusher. So what's going to happen then? If you can't get pressure to the quarterback, that quarterback's even Jalen Hurts is going to tear you up. Now Jalen Hurts is a pretty good quarterback. I'm not going to say he's a great quarterback. I'm saying he's a pretty good quarterback. I'm going to say that. And even then, he going to tear you up. Because you already got a failing DB line. Defensive back. Your pass rush looks less credible. Your D line, we don't even know what that looks like. Your interior line, we don't even know what that looks like. So now, at that point, you may be playing behind. Most likely, you will be playing behind. And so that leaves Dak Prescott to start throwing 40 to 50 passes because he's got to make up for the fact that the defense can't hold anybody. It's going to be a shootout, and Dallas is not going to win that one. Because I can guarantee you, Philly's defense is good enough to get some stops. The Cowboys' defense right now, I'm not sure they can. Look, I'm happy for Micah. Micah got his money. That's what was important. I'm happy Micah got his money. That was important. For all the work that he did, that was great. But it pisses me off that we're once again in this situation where Jerry is talking about that he's doing what's best for the team and that he's getting them in contention for a Super Bowl, that they're not necessarily rebuilding, but they do have a new coach, and there's about 1/3 of the locker room that's different, but we still in it, and I just feel like I'm gonna be rooting for them because they're the boys, they my boys. I'm still gonna root for them, but it's hard to really say we're making the Super Bowl anytime soon. Not even 1, 2, or 3 years. And the worst thing about it is you wasted Tony Romo's career with a bunch of bullshit. And now Jerry Jones has done it again, this time to Dak Prescott. There's nobody, I feel like, in the world that deserves that Super Bowl more than Dak Prescott. And I don't think he's going to get it. Because it's Jerry. And Steven's right there, and he's just like, that's a good one, Dad. I got your back, Dad. Or Jerry, because Jerry don't like him saying Dad to him. You're good, Jerry. This was legit tough for me. After I got the news, I tried to go back to work. Man, I don't talk to people like strangers. I don't really talk to them like that. I may say hi, how you doing, but I don't really talk to them. I talked to this one person at work, outside. I ran into him, And he had a cowboy hat. It was just a random dude. He had a cowboy hat. I'm like, I told him, have you heard about Micah? He like, Micah who? Said Micah Parsons. He's like, what? He got traded. No way. Ain't no way he got traded. He did. They announced it so-and-so. And he was in shock. And he's like, we need him for the Eagles. I'm like, the Eagles smiling right now. I mean, you have to... God, you know, my head was spinning. I was just going through the motions. I thank God it was like the last part of the day, because I just didn't know what to do with myself. Except for work. But I didn't know. What could I do? What could I... I had to wait for more news. And then they had this press conference because they knew how much of a shitstorm this was going to cause. And it was just, like I said earlier, Jerry was just rambling. He was just rambling about what... He was just rambling on and on, trying to make these excuses for why they made the trade. And they all just fell on deaf ears because it's the same thing we hear from Jerry. It's excuses, it's promises, and he never keeps them. This has been true, and this reaffirms it. The Cowboys cannot and will not be going anywhere as long as Jerry Jones is the GM of the Dallas Cowboys. You can't get rid of him because of the owner. You can't. But GM-wise, he can't either. That's the thing. He can't either because the owner and the GM are the same damn person. So you can't get rid of him. So now it comes down to you have to hope that Jerry just somehow has this epiphany that he can't be doing the same shit. But that's not going to happen. Somebody's got to take the reins from that man, or he's got to let go. He's not letting go until he's in the grave. Alright? And that's not me wishing any harm comes to him or anything like that, because it's not that serious. And nothing if sports ever is that serious. But this right here is just another example of Cowboys drama that was so not needed. Moves that made zero sense, and for the love of God, this has been one of the worst years in Dallas sports history, because we lose Luka, now we to a dumbass trade by Nico Harrison, and now a dumbass trade from Jerry Jones regarding Micah Parsons. So now here we are, and then to top it all off, in a month's time, Micah Parsons is going up against the Dallas Cowboys. He's coming back here to most likely whoop our ass. How the hell does that make sense? You can say what you will. Micah Parsons does podcasts. He does this, he does that. Jerry's never had a problem with people doing extracurriculars as long as they are able to produce. He has produced. And you gave up DeMarcus Lawrence to go. So he played in Seattle, making looking like DeMarcus Lawrence. What he said all those months ago, even more true. Because it looks like even Seattle may have a better chance than Dallas to win something before. So that's where we're at right now. You lose DeMarcus Lawrence, you lose Micah Parsons. Your two edge rushers, they're gone. So now you just have a whole bunch of guys that you hope you can mix around, and you hope to plug in, rotate them, and try to get pressure on the quarterback. You pray to God. But now your DBs are lacking because you only got Deron Bland and guys like Ishiramu, or I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that name, so I'm sorry about that. But you don't really have anybody else because Trayvon Diggs is still hurt, so he's still recovering. So who are you gonna get? You got to get somebody in a week's time. There is no time to waste. Jerry Jones didn't need to have no damn press conference. All he needed to do was get on the phone and try to find these damn players that he was talking about. I'm not players you could plug in now. Damn the draft picks, because they ain't gonna help us this season. Go on the damn phone and get some help. You can salvage something from this season. But this is the life of being a Dallas Cowboy fan. They're going to drag your ass through some bullshit, and you're still going to root for them. That's some toxic shit. It's really all I can think about right now. I just needed a rant. It was probably all over the place, most likely, but I just feel like I'm just numb to this shit now. Like, we're like the Raiders when Al Davis had that shit. We're totally, I think we're fucked. I think Jerry Jones totally fucked us because he could not, most of all, control his ego, and because of that, it's done. And I feel like Dak's going to not have a Super Bowl in his career now. I pray to God that I'm wrong, but I just feel like Jerry cares more about making the money than winning championships. But if you don't win championships, nobody's gonna give a fuck anymore. Eventually, and I will say this eventually, they're gonna move on and then go somewhere else. See, championships are what winning is what drives everything. It's what brought up damn shit. Turned around Dallas's economic problems all those years ago. Dallas Cowboys winning. Jerry bringing a lot of that. Why? Because the Cowboys were winning. Cowboys ain't really winning these days. They're not bringing home the gold. So maybe it's about time for Jerry to understand that you have to be willing to sacrifice, risk it all to get the biscuit. Risk it to get the biscuit. It's about paying whatever you have to pay to get that championship, to get that Lombardi that has eluded us for fucking 30 years. But that will never happen until Jerry can get his head out of his ass. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Well, thank you guys for watching. I just needed, it was just something quick. I needed to get it off the top. I just needed to get it out there. Thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate this. I will still be rooting for them. They are still my boys, as I said earlier, but this just makes it a hell of a lot harder now. And hell, Dallas Stars something, but hey, at least we still got Mikko Rantanen, which is true, and they have made it to the Western Conference Finals 3 straight years in a row, but they haven't gotten to a Stanley Cup in a while. So hopefully they'll change that. Hopefully they get over the hump. But right now, the city of Dallas is up for grabs. We still have Cooper Flag for the Dallas Mavericks, so hopefully that helps. Maybe Mavericks somehow go on a miracle run. We'll see. But right now, Dallas Cowboys right now, it ain't looking good for y'all. And it ain't looking good for us Cowboy fans. Please, guys, stay safe out there. And we'll get through this together. Cowboy fans. All you other guys, I know y'all just full of shit. Y'all celebrating the fuck out of us, right? Bastards. Alright. Peace out.